Hey everybody, thanks for pressing play. In this video I want to show you Fox's Rock, which is in the Cooley Mountains in County Louth. So in the video what we're going to do is show you how to get to it and also what to expect when you get there. And it's actually not too difficult a place to find. You will find it on Google Maps, and if you're going to use a start off point, just look for the Windy Gap on Google Maps in County Louth. Once we got to the Windy Gap car park, there is plenty of space there. Initially there's not a massive amount of space, but there's a bit of an overflow area. We packed up and got going and just followed the trail. So the trail is pretty obvious. You can just follow that. And for anyone that wants to bring toddlers, we had a little toddler, put her on our back and we shared the burden. And it's not too bad at all. So we found this little stairs that we can pop over the fence. And then after that, there was a trail that was reasonably obvious. And we started following that upwards. I would definitely advise you want proper hiking boots here. Definitely something that's waterproof as well. You'll see later on as you get higher up. So runners are really not going to cut it along here. So we followed the trail. It's pretty straightforward and easy to follow. There's a bit of an incline, so you definitely want a reasonable level of fitness, but like nothing specialist. And even as you're starting to climb up already, there's some really nice views around the Windy Gap. But one thing I will say, as usual, I didn't do an awful lot of research on this one. It's not a very high one. It's 404 metres up. So I kind of just glanced up. I could see the top and I just decided to sort of wing it as usual and just basically aim for the top. As you're looking around, you can see nice views like what we were saying. I'll go through that with you when you get up to the top of what you can actually see. So we just kept following the trail all the way along. There probably would have been a better way to go up the trail. It's only when we were coming back down, we should have kind of probably gone over to the right here. So I noticed when I was coming back down, we went up to the left over here, as you can see, that gap there. But probably the more sensible way would have been over to the right hand side. But look, it's much of a muchness. So keep following the trail all the way. And sometimes I find on these kind of hikes, when you can pretty much see the top, you don't have to, like, I mean, the trail at times can disappear a little bit and it can be a little bit concerning if you're going off trail. But I mean, as long as you're looking up towards the top and as long as you're sensible and as long as you're safe and not taking any risks, should be okay. So I was planning to try and go straight up this way, but that didn't make sense. We got closer, so I was then thinking we'll try and go this way, but again that didn't become sensible. But I just kept going, and we started to figure it out as we got closer to the top. What actually happened in the end was we ended up kind of basically going all the way around towards the edge, but you see as we get up. So again, just following this trail. A lot of the trail, I'd go as far as saying about 75% of it is really, really obvious, if not even more than that, so you really won't get lost. So along through here then I was planning to try and even get up that section there, but again, as it got closer up, it just wasn't feasible. It was too steep. So again, we just kept going upwards and a little bit further on around. As we got closer to the top, we ended up kind of going all the way out to the right hand side of the peak, which is what we would have seen from the car park, and then kind of coming back up on top of ourselves. So you don't go straight upwards, you go off around to the right and come back up to the left, if that makes sense. There's some really nice views as you're getting towards the top, and I was really looking forward to getting to the top at this stage because it's I could see off in the distance there was some really nice stuff to look around. It's an unusual sort of trail because there's so many of these rocks just dumped along here from obviously thousands and millions of years ago. As you're getting closer to the top then you can start to see where exactly the top is going to be, but there's a bit of a thing here on this. There's kind of two peaks. So when I looked it up, I saw this the Fox's Rock, and I also saw Fox's Rock, so it was a little bit confusing. So we got up to the top of what Google told us to be the Fox's Rock, which is up here, and at that point then I was happy enough that we'd actually made it to the top. But it's actually when I got up on top of this, which is what Google calls the Fox's Rock, I could see off in the distance there was another small peak and a cairn as well. So I stood up on top of here first and said, okay, that's grand. This is the Fox's Rock, and I was happy enough with that. And I started looking around the nice views then, which you could see, which is way off over into the Mourns. Carlingford Loch obviously is just a little bit hidden at this point. Way off over to the likes of Schlefoy, and just generally around and looking back on where we'd come from. And another one that we'd covered in another video where the masts are over here, which is Claremont Cairn, and all the way back around. And it was quite nice looking around and looking down back into the car park from where we'd come as well. But like I was saying to you, I kept looking around and I could see off in the distance there was another little peak and a cairn sitting there, which I suppose I got curious about. So I said, let's go over there, which from a footwear point of view wasn't the best idea. It's so soggy going across here. So we walked on over, but my God, it was really, really soggy. So you definitely want waterproof footwear walking across over here. But you know what, it's actually worth it, because I think this is actually genuinely what is called the Fox's Rock. So Google made it a little bit confusing, so we walked all the way over until we got to this cairn, at which point then we had much better views of Carlingford Lough and over to the Mournes as well, so it's definitely worth it. So I think this is officially actually the Fox's Rock, with the one we'd kind of aimed for in the first place. And from here we'd great views of Omead on the left, and then down into Ross Trevor as well, and like we were saying already, over towards the Mournes, which we're going to cover in other videos as well. So it's actually really nice, and it was reasonably calm up there. It wasn't overly windy or anything like that, so it was just actually really nice. And you know what, is some of these lower peaks, these 400 and 500 meter ones, there's very few people on them, so it's reasonably quiet. It's just nice. It's actually really relaxing. So at the top, like, what you do is you take in all the views and have a look around, and then you would feed the toddler, feed yourselves, get some water or whatever, take another look around, and then think about just how wet your socks are and start walking back down. And that's pretty much it. So that is Fox's Rock, 404 metres in County Louth in the Cooley Mountains. So hopefully this video will give you a better idea of something to do getting out hiking in Ireland. Anyway, thanks for taking time to watch. Hopefully the video has been useful, and if you're watching on YouTube, please do like and subscribe.